Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we move past the headlines, sift through your source material, and hand you the synthesized knowledge you need. Today, we are focusing on a career so long, so diverse, and frankly, so critically acclaimed that it almost defies classification. We're talking about the incomparable Andrea Martin.
Yeah, we really are. We're examining a performer born Andrea Louise Martin, January 15, 1947. That's in Portland, Maine. Her professional life kicks off around 1970, so we're looking at, what, over 50 years?
Easily.
And what makes her so unique, I think, is the sheer gap between her two main areas of, well, mastery.
Right.
First, you've got the improvisational, almost anarchic, character-driven world of sketch comedy.
SCTV territory.
Exactly. And then, completely differently, you have the very structured, high-stakes, award-winning environment of the Broadway stage. It's like two different planets.
Absolutely. And the sources really paint this picture of the ultimate entertainment polymath. And we're not just talking about someone who, dabbled a bit here and there.
No, not at all.
You definitely know her as Edith Prickly, right? The leopard print, the station manager from the legendary SCTV.
Instantly recognizable.
And then, maybe even more globally, you know her as the wonderfully chaotic beloved Amvula from My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh, yeah. A role that just exploded.
But the stat that really blows your mind, the one that underlines this incredible versatility, is her Broadway success.
Okay, yeah, this is key.
She holds the actual record for the most nominations. 5 for the Tony Award for Best Featured Actress in a Musical.
5 nominations in that specific category.
Yeah.
That's staggering. It suggests this level of precision, scene-stealing ability, and just consistent performance rigor that seems almost fundamentally opposed to the spontaneous creation needed for sketch comedy.
Right. How do you do both at such a high level?
Yeah.
So our mission today is really to unpack that journey for you, the listener. We want to dig into how her unique Armenian heritage, her early dramatic training, and that really pivotal move to Canada, how all that created a framework strong enough to support a career that could jump seamlessly from, the fictional airwaves of Mellonville.
Right, from SCTV.
To literally setting records on 42nd Street. It's an amazing trajectory.
And to really get the woman, I think you have to start with the family, with the roots.
Yeah, it feels vital to begin right there in Portland, Maine. Andrea Martin was the eldest of 3 kids, born to Sybil Manoogian and John Papazian Martin. And the family history she carries, it isn't just, typical American dream stuff. It's deeply, deeply connected to the tumultuous history of the Armenian people.
Yeah, the sources are really clear on this. When we talk about her background, we're talking about a story of profound survival. Her paternal grandparents, they were originally from Van, which is in present-day Turkey.
And they were direct survivors of the Armenian genocide. I mean, they navigated just unimaginable trauma to build a life in the United States.
And that whole journey of immigration, it leads to one of the most significant early decisions affecting her identity, which was the changing of the family name.
Right.
Her paternal grandfather, who apparently was something of an amateur actor himself, which is interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he made that really key choice to change the surname from Papazian to Martin.
And that decision, it just speaks volumes, doesn't it, about the kind of pressures that ethnic immigrant communities faced in the early 20th century, especially those who had fled, horrific violence and were just seeking security, stability.
Absolutely.
Changing the name was such a clear attempt to, blend in, to facilitate assimilation into the U.S. mainstream, maybe shed a marker of difference to protect the next generation.
Exactly. And Martin herself has talked pretty openly about this kind of duality within her own family. She mentioned how her grandparents, the generation that actually lived through the trauma, they did not know what assimilation was.
Right.
They just kept their culture, their language, their identity, because their whole frame of reference was survival, not necessarily social integration into America.
But then her parents' generation, they were the ones striving to fit that American mold. They worked incredibly hard, it seems, to minimize those cultural markers. It's a pretty common dynamic, right, for the children of immigrants navigating that tension.
Totally. And it probably explains why Martin herself found herself reconnecting with her ancestry much later in life, after kind of navigating the path her parents had set out.
Yeah.
But it's a tension, sure, but it's also potentially a really rich source for performance, isn't it? The sources kind of suggest that this environment, this mix of deep ethnic history alongside the drive to observe and assimilate, it might have primed her for the kind of detailed character work she became famous for later.
That makes sense.
Whether it's the exaggerated accents of, say, Perini Scleroso on SCTV, or the kind of keenly observed humor of Aunt Vula.
That's a great point. What's also fascinating, though, is how her introduction to actual formal drama happened through what sounds like an almost accidental curriculum.
Oh, the story about her mother.
Yeah. When Andrea was just 2 years old, her mother, Sybil, broke her leg. And during this really long recovery period, her mom just started reading to her daughter. A lot.
And we're not talking simple bedtime stories here. This was apparently pretty rigorous stuff. They take turns reading some demanding literary works. I mean, can you imagine being a toddler and your mom is introducing you to the rhythms of Shakespeare?
Right. Or the meter of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven.
Wow.
That's some intense early exposure. It's hard to really overestimate the foundational impact of having your, linguistic and emotional toolkit built on Shakespeare and Poe from that age.
Oh, definitely. It trains your ear for cadence, for timing, dramatic delivery, all skills that are absolutely essential whether you're delivering a big monologue on Broadway or trying to land a punchline in a 3-minute sketch.
Yeah, it's all performance.
And the signs of this early theatricality, they showed up pretty quickly. We have documented proof of her first public performance. She was 8 years old at the rotunda of the Portland Museum of Art.
Okay.
And she wasn't just playing the piano, which she was learning. She also recited a poem about a kitten. She understood, even way back then, the power of combining things, a presentation.
A multi-hyphenate from age 8.
Pretty much.
And that desire for the spotlight, it clearly continued through her school years. She graduated from Deering High School in 1965. She was active in the dramatic club, naturally. And in what feels like a classic precursor to stardom, she also won the title of Miss Deering High in 1965.
Okay, Ms. Deering High. From there, she continued her training more formally at Emerson College, really solidifying her commitment to the performing arts.
So you've got this combination, the profound cultural background, survival and assimilation, then this intensely dramatic reading curriculum from her mom, and then the formal training at Emerson. It really set the stage for her professional launch, but that launch needed a change of scenery.
Right. After Emerson, Martin landed a role almost straight away in a touring company of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And that show became her ticket, not just to New York initially, but eventually north to Canada, which, as it turned out, would be the absolute epicenter of her creative development.
That relocation was huge, a seismic shift, really. In 1970, she makes this crucial decision to move permanently from New York City to Toronto.
And unlike a lot of American performers who maybe struggle to get traction outside the big U.S. markets, Martin, according to the sources, immediately found consistent work. Diverse work, too, in Canada's growing film, theater, and TV industries.
And just 2 years after that move, she gets cast in what you can only really call a nexus point of comedy history, the 1972 Toronto production of the musical Godspell.
Oh, Godspell, yeah. This wasn't just a successful show. It was like a petri dish for future comedy and drama legends.
Totally. It was this incredible constellation of stars all forming at the same time. Martin played the character Robin, right?
Yep. And her co-stars included names that would basically define comedy for the next generation.
Yeah.
Gilda Radner.
Wow.
Martin Short, Eugene Levy, Victor Garber. And maybe crucially for the show's musical feel, Paul Schaffer was the musical director.
Just think about the training environment that provided. A live musical show, night after night, constant collaboration, and just the shared ambition of this group of performers who were all clearly on the cusp of something big.
Yeah. It created not just professional ties, but deep personal relationships that would really form the backbone of her career later on, like with Martin Short.
Right. But while she's honing her stage presence alongside these future comedy giants, the sources show she was also exploring a totally different path in genre film.
Yeah, this is wild. She showed this chilling versatility by winning the Sitges Film Festival Award for Best Actress for the 1973 horror film Cannibal Girls.
Best Actress at a film festival for Cannibal Girls. That's the kind of detail that just defines her career, right? Extreme technical skill applied to completely unexpected genres.
And she followed that up with a pretty key role in the 1974 Canadian slasher classic Black Christmas. She played Phyllis, the sort of bookish sorority sister.
It's almost hard to square the future Broadway titan with an early Canadian scream queen, but there she is in the credits.
That constant kind of stage work and genre hopping eventually brought her into the orbit of the Second City improvisational troupe.
Oh.
Which of course provided the engine for her biggest collaborative success. SCTV, Second City Television, which ran roughly from 1976 to 1984.
SCTV was just It was a revelation, wasn't it? Because it didn't just do sketches. It created this entire fictional world, the TV station in the town of Mellonville.
Exactly. And Martin joined a core cast that was just the absolute peak of improvisational genius at the time. John Candy, Dave Thomas, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, Harold Ramis, Joe Flaherty. Just an unbelievable lineup.
An embarrassment of riches.
Totally. And this is where we really need to connect her background to those breakthrough characters. Her most famous, indelible creation, the woman basically synonymous with SCTV's chaos, was Edith Brickley.
Oh, Edith Brickley! The station manager, yeah. Famous for the leopard print outfits.
Always the leopard print.
And her constant, high-energy exasperation dealing with the station owner, Guy Caballero.
The genius of Edith Brickley wasn't just the look, though. It was the character. Born entirely out of improv and just really sharp observation, this high-strung, perpetually frustrated, low-level executive type. It took immense comedic commitment to anchor the absurdity happening all around her.
Yeah, she was the grounded one, ironically.
Kind of, but then look at her other signature characters. Perini Scleroso, the heavily accented Eastern European immigrant character, often seen on Perini Scleroso's House of Cut-Rate Furniture.
Hilarious.
And if you connect that back to what we were saying earlier, her ability to embody and observe these distinct, often European-sounding dialects, it probably came directly from that rich, ethnic environment in her childhood home back in Portland.
That makes total sense. You see the threads connecting.
And you also see the internal ecosystem of her career forming right there on SCTV. She created the children's entertainer, Mrs. Falbo.
Right.
A character so well realized, so distinct, that it served as the direct inspiration for Wanda Falbo, the word fairy, the recurring role she played years later on Sesame Street.
Amazing. Her SCTV work just kept paying dividends down the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And furthermore, just the depth of her mimicry skills showed her technical range, her celebrity impersonations. She could capture not just the look, but the specific vocal quality, the energy of incredibly distinct personality.
Who does she do?
Oh, everyone. From the brassy, almost operatic Ethel Merman to the high glamour, very specific physicality of Liza Minnelli, Barbra Streisand, Sophia Loren, even Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa. Okay, that's range.
That speaks to the level of detail, right?
Yeah.
That separates a good character comedian from a true master. It's not just doing a funny voice. It's the physical, the vocal, the sort of historical embodiment of the person.
Yeah, the essence.
And here's a really crucial detail that elevates her beyond just being a performer on the show. She was a primary creative architect. Martin won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Writing for a variety of music program, consecutively in 1982 and 1983, for writing SCTV.
2 writing Emmys. Okay, that confirms it. She was integral to actually structuring the sketches, defining the comedic tone of SCTV. She wasn't just delivering the lines somebody else wrote.
Yeah.
She was generating the scenarios, shaping the dialogue for that incredible ensemble. That technical background in writing comedy, that must have been critical for the next stage of her career when she had to adapt to other people's screenplays.
Yeah, absolutely. After that golden age of SCTV wrapped up, Martin showed the kind of resilience you need for real artistic longevity. She transitioned seemingly flawlessly into this really prolific screen career, and that resulted in the role that probably made her a global household name, Aunt Vula.
Aunt Vula. The phenomenon, starting with the huge success of My Big Fat Greek Wedding back in 2002, it's arguably the most widely recognized credit in her entire filmography.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that role earned the entire cast a Screen Actors Guild Award nomination in 2003 for Outstanding Performance by a Cast, which is a big deal.
Aunt Vula is just a masterclass in committed character performance, isn't she? She's so high energy, completely boundary-free.
Go boundaries.
Loving, but also slightly aggressive in her hospitality, you know?
Yeah.
She became the absolute comedic anchor of that movie.
I really did. And it's interesting thinking back to Section 1 again, how she seemed to take those observational skills, maybe honed from doing Perini Scleroso, and adapted them to capture the specific energy of that Greek-American family dynamic.
Totally. And she never let go of that character, which also speaks to a certain commercial savvy, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
She reprised Vula in the TV spinoff My Big Fat Greek Life.
Right, the short-lived series.
And then across 2 decades in the sequels, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 in 2016 and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 just recently in 2023.
Few performers manage to sustain a character like that over that many versions and different media formats. It's pretty rare.
But while Vula is iconic, if you look at her broader filmography, it reveals a really strategic choice, it seems, to avoid being typecast.
Definitely.
She popped up in serious political satire like Wag the Dog in '97,
Great film.
the cult musical Hedwig and the Angry Inch in 2001. She even went back into the Mel Brooks comedy world for the film version of The Producers in 2005.
And don't forget her early genre loyalty. We mentioned her role in the original 1974 Black Christmas.
Right, Phyllis.
Well, remarkably, she came back to that franchise to play Mrs. Mack in the 2006 remake, which is a nice little bit of meta-continuity in her career.
That's fantastic. I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Beyond live action, she's also shown this profound mastery in voice acting, which requires a completely different set of technical skills, right?
Yeah.
Conveying emotion, physicality, timing, just using your voice.
Oh, yeah, it's a real art form. And her credits are like a who's who of animation history.
Yeah.
She was Phlegmoncough and the old woman in the big animated feature Anastasia in '97.
Okay.
She was Aunt Miriam Pickles in the Rugrats movie.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe most memorably for a certain generation, she originated the voice of Miss Fowl in Jimmy Neutron. Boy genius back in 2001.
Mrs. Fowl. Yeah, that's a great deep dive credit because she took what was essentially a supporting role in the movie and turned it into a cornerstone of the TV series. She reprised it as a main character for, 37 episodes of The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron? Boy genius.
Yeah, exactly. Her voice is just everywhere if you start listening for it. Queen Slug for a Butt in the Earthworm Jim cartoon.
No way.
Yep. And even Mrs. Nahasapima Petalon, Apu's mother, in The Simpsons.
Wow, okay. Her television footprint, the live-action stuff, is equally varied for the sci-fi fans listening.
Right.
She played Ishka Quark's mother, Moogie, in Star Trek. Oh, Deep Space Nine.
Which is a highly technical environment, right? Delivering complex Ferengi dialogue under layers and layers of makeup and prosthetics.
Oh, yeah. Heavy stuff.
It's really a testament to her adaptability that she was one of only 2 actresses ever asked to play that specific recurring role. They trusted her with it.
That's quite an endorsement. What really stands out in her more recent career choices, though, is this willingness to pivot quite dramatically, proving she's definitely not just resting on her, comedy laurels.
Right.
For 3 seasons, from 2021 to 2024, she co-starred as Sister Andrea in the supernatural drama series Evil.
And that pivot feels absolutely deliberate. She took on this serious, dramatic role, completely stripped of the familiar comedic stuff of Vula or Prickly.
Totally different.
And just excelled. That performance earned her a Critics' Choice Television Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress.
Which is a massive achievement, especially later in a career. It just shows her commitment to remaining a relevant, respected dramatic actress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now she's enjoying this great recurring role as Joy in the huge hit series, Only Murders in the Building.
Another great part. This adaptability, the ability to jump from sci-fi aliens to supernatural nuns to a hit Hulu comedy, it just shows that producers and directors trust her completely. Whatever the medium, whatever the tone, they know she can deliver.
Okay, so everything we've talked about so far, the sketch comedy genius, the global character stardom with Ann Vula, it's all incredibly impressive. But to truly grasp the, singularity of Andrea Martin's career, we absolutely have to spend some serious time on her work on the stage. Because that's where her consistent brilliance has really cemented her place in theatrical history.
Yeah, this is the big one. She holds the record. And we really need to stress the importance of this statistic.
Yeah.
5 nominations for the Tony Award for Best Featured Actress in a Musical.
5.
That just doesn't happen by accident. It speaks to 5 distinct performances in 5 different shows across decades where she consistently stole the show and earned critical recognition as the best supporting performer on Broadway that year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that category, Best Featured Actress, it's often seen as the domain of the true craftsman,
Yeah.
The performer whose excellence just elevates the entire production, even if they aren't the big name carrying the show at the box office. To get that level of recognition 5 times, it's simply unprecedented.
So when did it start? Her Broadway debut was in 1992 in the musical My Favorite Year.
Right.
And it was an instant, undeniable smash hit for her personally. She didn't just get nominated, she swept the major awards for that season. She won the Tony Award, the Drama Desk Award, and the Theater World Award for Best Featured Actress in a Musical.
All 3 for her debut.
Yeah. That's just a staggering start to a Broadway career, especially for someone primarily famous for sketch comedy like SCTV.
It basically signaled to the entire industry, didn't it, that the wonderful chaos of Mellonville contained a performer who could absolutely handle the highly regimented, technically demanding world of a Broadway book musical.
Yeah, that first Tony win was like confirmation of the talent, but the second one, that cemented her legendary status, and it came 20 years later.
Right. The second win was in 2013 for the revival of Pippin. She played Bertha, who is Pippin's grandmother. It's a physically demanding role anyway, but in this production especially, and she had to sing that classic showstopper, No Time at All.
And here we should dive into the specific craft involved. The birth role in that particular Diane Paulus revival required extraordinary physical commitment.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't just singing the song. It involved really high-level physical comedy, including quite complex acrobatic maneuvers. I mean, in some performances, she was literally singing while swinging on a trapeze.
Singing on a trapeze. At that point in her career, that is the ultimate contrast to SCTV, isn't it?
Totally.
In sketch comedy, you invent the physical language on the fly. On Broadway, you have to execute this highly specific, repetitive, sometimes physically dangerous choreography 8 times a week perfectly while maintaining your vocal stamina.
Yeah. And that single performance is Bertha secured her second Tony Award, plus another Drama Desk Award, an Outer Critics Circle Award, and an Elliot Norton Award. Just another sweep.
Incredible. Those 2 wins are the absolute highlights, but the other 3 nominations just underscore her consistency, right?
Exactly. Her other nominated roles included the really demanding, almost operatic vocal work of Candide in 1997,
Okay.
the classic American musical Oklahoma
Yeah.
in 2002, playing Aunt Eller,
Right.
and returning to the Mel Brooks world again with Young Frankenstein in 2007, playing Frau Blucher.
Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The sheer breadth of musical styles she mastered across those nominated roles is remarkable.
And she wasn't limited to musical theater either. She showed equal skill in straight plays. She earned another Tony nomination, this time for Best Featured Actress in a Play, for playing Dottie Otley in the 2016 revival of the classic farce Noises Off.
Which is one of the most demanding comedic roles in theater, period.
Totally. And she also won an Outer Critics Circle Award for her performance in the play Act 1. She just kept delivering.
And her willingness to challenge herself even extended to the really personal and demanding world of solo performance. Back in 1996, her critically acclaimed one-woman show, Nude, Totally Nude.
It's a great title.
Isn't it? It earned her a Drama Desk nomination for Outstanding One-Person Show. That requires you to carry an entire evening, just you, relying only on your own charisma and material.
That takes guts. But the physical demands of this level of theater, they are unforgiving. And the sources do document a moment where that commitment came at a pretty serious cost.
Ah, yeah, the injury. In 2019, she was all set to perform opposite Nathan Lane in the world premiere of Taylor Mack's play Gary, a sequel to Titus Andronicus.
Okay.
But she had to withdraw from the production shortly before it opened because she suffered a significant injury. During rehearsal, she actually broke 4 ribs.
4 ribs. Wow. That's a stark reminder that even in a play, and especially with the kind of high-energy physicality Martin brings, the work is incredibly rigorous and physically taxing. It requires dedication way beyond just learning your lines.
Absolutely. But injuries, thankfully, haven't defined her longevity. Her commitment to the stage is clearly ongoing. The sources confirm her recent appearance just this year, 2024, back on Broadway, in the Lincoln Center production of Ayad Akhtar's new play, McNeil.
Oh, wow.
And she was co-starring alongside Robert Downey Jr.
Get out. Okay, so she remains a fixture on the most respected stages in the world, constantly seeking out new, challenging material. Incredible.
So let's maybe bring some of the elements of her identity together here. Despite her status as this American-born, Tony-winning Broadway legend, Martin has always maintained this really profound connection to Canada, the country that really launched her career.
Right. She still divides her time, doesn't she,
Right.
between Los Angeles and Toronto.
Exactly. And that connection was actually formalized relatively recently, after living and working in Canada for 47 years, basically, since that pivotal move back in 1970. She officially became a Canadian citizen in December 2017.
Wow, 47 years later. That's quite a formal acknowledgement of her commitment to and her incredible success within the Canadian cultural landscape.
Yeah, it really is. Turning to her personal life for a moment, she was previously married to the writer Bob Dolman.
Okay.
And they have 2 sons, Joe and Jack Dolman. And here's a really lovely connection that kind of circles back to those Godspell origins.
Oh, yeah.
Through her marriage to Bob Dolman, she became the sister-in-law of her former Godspell and SCTV castmate, Martin Short.
No way.
Yeah, Martin Short married Bob Dolman's sister, Nancy. So that original constellation of stars we talked about, They literally became family.
That's amazing. That integration of professional and personal life, you see that often in those tight-knit comedy circles, don't you?
You really do. It seems fitting, too, that someone who has observed and chronicled so much of the entertainment industry would eventually document her own past. In 2014, she published her memoir,
Ah, right.
the book, which has the wonderfully titled Andrea Martin's Lady Parts. Right. It really captures the specific tone of her career, kind of self-deprecating but insightful and very funny. It gives you a unique look into that transition from the improv rooms in Toronto to the glamorous but also really demanding world of Broadway and Hollywood.
Sounds like a must-read. And she's received significant official acknowledgement in Canada, too, right?
Oh, yeah. In 2018, she was inducted into Canada's Walk of Fame. She joined a pretty legendary list of figures that year, including Seth Rogen and Leonard Cohen.
Wow, that's esteemed company.
Definitely. And even after, what, half a century in the business, she shows absolutely no signs of slowing down. She continues to tour with her one-woman show, Andrea Martin. Final days, everything must go.
Still touring.
Yep, with musical director Seth Rudetsky. It just demonstrates that she maintains that essential direct connection with her audience, constantly refreshing her material and honing her performance skills.
It's just a career built on this foundation of profound adaptability and really a refusal to be defined by any single medium or character. Hashtag outro.
So if we try to synthesize everything we've kind of pulled from the source material here, the story of Andrea Martin really feels like a definitive blueprint for artistic success. And it's success built squarely on versatility and just relentless technical execution.
Yes, she is a master of the pivot. It's incredible. Moving from the highly collaborative, sometimes chaotic energy of ensemble sketch comedy, where she had to invent and write her own characters on SCTV.
Right, creating from scratch.
To the high-pressure, globally exposed world of blockbuster cinema, where she delivered this universally recognizable character in Aunt Vula, clearly tapping into her earliest observational skills and cultural influences.
And then, maybe most astonishingly, pivoting again into the hyper-precise, award-winning realm of dramatic and musical stage work. Setting a record on Broadway, a seemingly unbeatable record for Tony nominations in the featured actress in a musical category.
It's just very few performers could even claim success, let alone high-level, award-winning success, across such distinct artistic mediums. It proves she's fundamentally a master technician of performance.
Yeah, her career really feels like a testament that true longevity in this business comes not necessarily from just chasing the spotlight, but from consistently delivering exquisite craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Whether you're improvising a scene about cut-rate furniture
Right.
or performing acrobatics while singing perfectly on a Broadway stage 8 times a week.
That dedication to the craft.
Yeah.
And that leads us nicely to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. Andrea Martin holds the record for nominations specifically in the featured actress category, the supporting role. Support. So that invites us to really consider what specific quality, maybe beyond just raw talent, allows a performer to consistently excel in that supporting capacity, to maintain that level of critical relevance and acclaim for 5 decades.
Yeah, it's a great question. She consistently proves she was the secret weapon, right?
Yeah.
The person you could drop into almost any environment, from a low-budget Canadian slasher film to a Star Trek episode to a huge Tony-winning musical, and she would instantly elevate the entire production.
Yeah. So we invite you to maybe reflect on the difference between being, say, a temporary star, maybe defined by 1 or 2 big lead roles, and being a dedicated, indispensable master craftsman, which Andrea Martin fundamentally, undoubtedly is.
A true artist's artist.
Absolutely. Truly inspiring figure and just a phenomenal deep dive into the craft of performance itself. That has been The Deep Dive. We hope you enjoyed this look into the remarkable career of Andrea Martin.